Welcome to Sisters in Service podcast. Most of you know me as a strong advocate for women veterans in being recognized not only as veterans, but also as women who are changing the world through our passion of serving, even after service. This podcast is my passion by telling all the stories of military brats, military spouses, active duty, and veterans, not to forget the veteran service organizations that help us along our transition journey. I want to thank you in advance for listening. I hope that you will join me every week. A new podcast and episode comes out every Tuesday, so I hope that you will join and I hope that you enjoy. This podcast is brought to you by Small Space Pilates. Are you ready to get fit and fabulous from the comfort of your own home? Look no further than Small Space Pilates. With live online Pilates and strength training classes, a video library, and a no perfection allowed policy, you can achieve your fitness goals without ever leaving your house. Click on the link for your complimentary week and start your journey to feeling fabulous today. Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm back. This is our latest episode of Sisters in Service. And you know me, I'm your I've got Coach on the brain because I have Coach Ronnie Loiza here. But however, you guys know me. I'm, the person who does this thing on a podcast. I'm the host. That's it. So welcome to the Sisters in Service podcast. Today, I'm excited to have Ronnie Loiza, who is a master certified professional coach and a certified habit coach, who specializes in the holistic connection of mind, body, and psyche, joining us. Ronnie's not just any life coach. She's a transformative guide who empowers individuals to create sustainable, doable habits that lead to achieving their goals across all aspects of life, be it fitness, wellness, career, or even your love life, without relying on endless to-do lists, discipline, or sheer willpower. Ronnie, welcome to Sisters in Service.
Hi, Kat. You crack me up. I love you. I absolutely love this. You're just so real.
Oh, thank you. So if you notice, I did not use the word veteran. She's not a veteran. However, we all need to know how to do habits, how to make it easier. Just like we all need fitness and health and wellness and all the things. So that's why I invited her to be on the podcast so we can talk about how we can make this less heavy of a lift. So, Ronnie, how did you get into all the things? I mean, you're like everything. So how did you go from being a master certified professional coach to habit coach?
Well, first of all, Kat, I started watching you because I saw you on LinkedIn with a good friend of mine who you've had on the podcast. And like you said, I'm not in military, but I know a lot of military people. I used to live in San Diego near Camp Pendleton and also Miramar. And I've met so many fascinating people through the military, but also I just listen to you because you talk about real life and we go through transitions. You know, I'm hitting 59 this summer. Yay. And I have been through a handful of not just career transitions, but life transitions, and it's all of a sudden that's your identity. It's like You're out of the military or you're out of a marriage. I got divorced once. Now I'm with the right person. We're compatible, or like the kids leave, empty nest. When your life changes, it's transition and people ask themselves and they would come to me, I don't know who I am anymore, which sounds so woo and so dumb until you say it and you realize that's true. I mean, so many people are afraid to say,
hello.
So many strong, powerful, intelligent, well-trained women and men, because I also coach men, and especially the men in midlife, they feel like it's dumb until they say it, that I don't know who I am anymore because it just sounds ridiculous. But they realize your habits, now stay with me, your habits make up 40 to 50% of your day, everyone across the board. More people than not, 70% of their day. But I'm going to just say globally, and this is from meta studies, meta research, which means different research and then they put them all together. Right. So if nearly half to half of our day is just a series of our habits, that's who we are. That's our identity. What we do daily on a consistent basis are our habits. So our habitual way of thinking. So when you say, well, we got to start a new habit, people think, oh God, a new habit so I can eat well. And they think of diets and plans and programs. No, that's exactly it. Our habits are from our subconscious up here.
Mm-hmm.
What we choose to do are our conscious. Now we can bring our habits into our conscious, wonderful. But what we do without thinking about it much is our habits. You weren't born out of your mommy's womb knowing how to eat or how to breathe. I
We had
mean,
to learn all
breathing
of
is a
that.
habit. You don't know how to brush your teeth, you know? It's just a
Right.
habit. You don't decide every time this is crass. Every time you go to the bathroom and you wipe, you don't think, oh, what do I do now? Oh yeah, I have to
Yeah.
wipe. It's just a
Well,
habit.
it is. I think it's interesting for people to understand that, when you hear transition, people think either, oh, I'm not in transition, or I don't need to do that. But when you think of remember when you went from, grade school to middle school? That was a transition. Middle school to
It's
high
huge.
school to college, or maybe
Yeah.
high school to marriage.
Yep.
And even as a woman, you went from being a girl, who, I don't know what you did as a girl, then all of a sudden you went through menses. That's a transition.
Yeah.
All the things we go through, but we don't think of those as transitions. We think of those as that's just what happens, but it's
It's
life. Those
rushing
parts
by.
of,
Yeah.
of life are transitions. So, Ronnie, let's get deep into this a little bit today. How, when I hear people talk about habits, and specifically I'm thinking fitness, because that just comes
Yeah.
to mind for me, is they go, oh, well, I have to make it a habit. I have to get motivated. Okay, right there, it's a heavy thing. You
Yeah.
said have to. How do we make it less heavy?
Okay. You start with a very tiny, tiny step. And most of the women, I'm just focusing on women, but men as well, especially men, they're set in their ways. We want to start with you get a lot of information. They get workout plans. They go online. Okay. They look up, working out 3 times a week and they get what muscles and this and that, how many reps and how many sets, or a diet or whatever. And they put this all under their arm and they run away with it. It's like, okay, I'm going to start. Well, that's a lot. You're not used to it.
Right.
So I have to rein people in because usually they're go getters. It's not the lazy people who don't want to do something. It's people who want to do something and they keep slipping and failing and
But we
falling
want to
and
do all
quitting
the things. That's
all at
it. We
once.
want to do all the things instead of this one small thing.
Yeah, and you want to make it your identity. It can't
Mhm.
be. Like you said, we evolve. So I always have to rein them in. Like we start out, for example, with give me first of all, what's your goal? And then away from the goal. Most people are used to starting, that's my goal, and this is the process. What's the strategy? Give me the plan.
Mhm.
Instead of who am I? Now, I'm not all woo-woo, Kat. I'm a pragmatic wooist, if you want to call me woo-woo. But really, it's who you are. I'm the type of
Mhm.
person who works out. I'm the type of James Cleary said it best. Well, if you want to be a writer, what do? You're right.
You're
It
right.
doesn't mean you edit and you're good and you do it at this time and then you send it to this
Exactly.
person. It's like, no, no, you're
Mhm.
right. If you're an author, what do? I author things. If you're a healthy person, what does a healthy person do? If you're shopping at the grocery store and you have to make a choice, oh, the Cheetos or the fruit, I am a healthy person. What does a healthy person pick? It's who you are. So instead of
Mhm.
starting with the goal, instead of starting with the process, start with who do you
Mhm.
want to be? That's your goal. Go back to the goal. And then we choose a tiny goal. And then we choose a tiny action. You don't start with a
Mhm.
habit because it's not a habit yet.
It's
A
not a
habit, by its
habit.
very definition, is already ingrained in you. It's innate. So
Right.
you start with a tiny action. So we come up with like 10 actions. And then people always want to do like 5 or 6. Well, Bessie, let's pick
Right.
one.
Let's
And
pick
we rate
one.
them. We go through a whole process. I do a
Mhm.
behavior assessment. What are you really going to do? In what context? We have to look at a lot of things. So I'm not going to give you the whole program, but
Mhm.
we have to look at your context. What's your situation? What's your frame of mind? What are your
Mhm.
values? What do you value? What do you value? Your core
Yeah.
values and what you
What's your
find valuable.
why?
Yep.
What's your why for wanting to do this?
My clients at first are like, I ask them why. Well, because of this. Well, why that? Well, because of this. Well, how will you feel when you're 10 pounds less?
Mhm.
Well, I'll feel more confident. Why do you want to feel confident? Whoa. And then they always come up with the
I
answer
know.
because I want to feel sexier and
Mhm.
feel like I have more power. Why do you want more power? And what does power mean to you? I mean, we go
You
deep.
have to
And
peel away the layers like an
yeah,
onion. You have to just keep peeling, keep peeling. And
yeah.
even, being in, and I'm sure you've heard this, and, being in the fitness industry is like, oh, they get very specific. I want to lose 28 pounds. I'm like, well, why is 28 pounds You know, well, that's what I weighed in high school. Why is that significant to you?
Yeah.
You know? And they're
And
like,
it's not
well,
therapy. It really isn't. We're not
no,
like going
it's
back and
not.
just lie on the
But
couch. It's like
yeah, but we have
they
to
have
understand
something.
what your why is,
Yeah.
you
Because
know,
that's when I
and
felt the prettiest. In high school, that's when I
mhm,
felt the prettiest.
mhm,
It can always just come down to that.
mhm. And I think your why is what keeps you on track too. Your why isn't like, oh, I just want to feel better. Well, your why is something, and I believe this to be true, that when I start to wane, when I start to be like, oh, I don't want to work out, or I don't want to do the thing, whatever that thing is, your why should snap you back. Why did I want to do this in the first place? Oh yeah. Okay, let's get it on. Let's do this.
And that's the other thing. So after we pick the one tiny action, and please remind me to get back to willpower because you just described discipline or willpower. And the people who have the most self control, research after research study shows that the people who have the most self control and do it rely least on willpower. Because willpower, you have to keep revving up and revving up, rev up that willpower. And it's a myth that willpower is the cornerstone to success. No, the cornerstone of success is having the right foundation. So you don't have to depend on the willpower. The willpower kicks in when something huge, okay, that last mile, that last little 100 yards, or that last 5 minutes of that Zumba class, or whatever it is. But you don't have to rely on willpower because that gets exhausting and that's what leads to burnout and that's what makes people quit. They start too big, too fast, and then they quit.
Yep.
So when we start with a tiny action, and most people think I can do those 3 or 4. Like, oh, I can go cardio and I can do five times a week and I can strength train and I can do yoga. And it's like, okay, what will you realistically do? Pick one action. You can do all the rest if you want, but pick one action that no matter what you won, you celebrate it. You celebrate it every day.
Yes.
Like some people, I just get them to start 5 minutes a day. I mean, these are people that have just quit working out. And it's like, well, Ronnie, what will 5 minutes a day do? And it's not that, well, 5 minutes a day is 25 minutes. That's better than nothing. No,
Mhm.
it's the point that your brain goes time, location, do it,
Mhm.
time,
Oh, it's
location,
time.
do it.
Yep. It
You get
becomes
used to it.
ingrained in your body. You're like, oh, it's time to work out.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
most people
it's
start with 5 minutes,
yeah,
10 minutes a day.
yeah.
And then it just becomes weird if they don't. It becomes part of your psyche. So you get an activation, and what will activate that action? And I'm talking more than just the post it. This is a post it. It becomes part of your vision. You see around it. You can ignore
Work
that post
out.
it.
You're like, I
Most
don't
people,
I don't see you.
the post-it just becomes part of just always there. The
Yeah.
alarm, people turn off their alarm and keep doing what they're doing. So
Right.
we have to find what will activate you and then set
Mhm.
up your surroundings. So we ensure activation in your surrounding, whether it's at work, at home, wherever it is.
Mhm.
And then we boost your ability. Do you have the right equipment? Do you have the right
Mhm.
environment? Do you have the right gear, the right clothes? Are you close enough to the gym or do you have the right stuff at
Mhm.
home? We look at everything. Also, your human environment. Most people have to like come out of their shell and, these are like extroverts, but they have to come
Right.
out and have that critical conversation with their
Mhm.
families. And usually it's with a partner, which I really found interesting.
Mhm.
And I must tell you, veteran women, vets that I have talked to, they don't want to tell their partner because their partner already thinks that they can because, well, you can do it.
Right.
I've really heard that without revealing anything confidential with anyone in particular, but it's
Mhm.
especially veterans or anyone that's changing careers or changing anything. They've
Mhm.
always been seen as, well, you could do it, you can get anything done. And it's like, no, I'm finding trouble getting this done.
Mhm.
And they have to, tell their family, tell their peers, tell their colleagues, tell their friends, whatever it is. Share with them what your goal is and what you're working on.
Yes,
Share with
absolutely.
them. They will either support you or they'll negate you.
Mhm.
And then that's where you set up your boundaries, and the boundaries are not for them. You don't know if they'll hold up their end of the boundary. Doesn't matter. That boundary is your little fence where you can go up and say, hey,
Mhm.
how's it going, neighbor? All right, I'm going to maintain my fence. Okay, I got to go now. It's for
Yeah.
you to maintain your boundary. It's not for
Mhm.
others. They're not going to maintain it. They're going to try to crash that gate,
Right. Do you
you
wanna
know?
talk about the willpower and that
Yeah.
reminder?
And lastly, in this, not only do you boost their ability, whatever it is, make sure that they're
Mhm.
set up, you reward it. That's really important. And I'm getting to the willpower right now,
Mhm.
but you have to reward yourself. And at first, they think it's silly. Reward yourself as you're
Mhm.
about to go do it. Yeah, I'm about to do it. I'm getting to do it. I'm going. I'm doing it.
Mhm.
Why? And why out loud? Because your brain hears it. It's like feedback. And your brain just
Yes.
goes, noted. It's a computer, noted.
And
And then
you start to believe it. You start to be like, it's
you're
that.
giving you're giving yourself
Yes.
evidence, proof that you're
Yes.
starting to do it. Then as
Mhm.
you're doing it, I'm doing it. I mean, I had one girl, I call everybody girl. I don't care if you're 82 years old. Um, I had one girl, she was in her 40s. She hated weight training. I mean, like
Mhm.
with a passion. But her doctor even told her, you have to build muscle and you have to lose this amount of weight. It was for her blood pressure and all that. She was only in her 40s and she had kids,
Mhm.
and that was her reason why. But she had to incorporate strength training, and she would tell herself, I hate this, as she's doing the bicep curl. And she would start laughing because she's saying it out loud. I hate this and I'm doing it anyway. Not
Mhm.
but, throw out the word but, and I'm doing it anyway.
And I'm doing
And your
it.
brain
Yeah.
hears it. Yes, you are capable,
Mhm.
noted. And afterwards, share it. And most of my clients share it with me on Voxer. Yay.
Mhm.
They just have to do a little green check emoji or done. Or some people go on, yeah,
Mhm.
I did it, blah, blah, blah. And they write me a lot. But share it with someone, but especially yourself, because that accountability partner or that coach won't be around forever.
Mhm.
Say it out loud to yourself. Celebrate yourself. Do a little happy dance, whatever it takes. You may
Whatever it
feel
takes.
silly, but look at yourself
Yeah.
in the eyeballs and celebrate it, because it's that
Mhm.
instant reward that will make that action a
Mhm.
habit. It's not a habit
Mhm.
yet. It takes time
Takes
and
time.
repetition, repetition, repetition,
Mhm.
repetition. All right. So the willpower or discipline. It's like, well, it's kind of hard unless you're in the military and you're being told to do it. You have to. Or for your job, I'm required to do this. I have to, or I have a
Mhm.
deadline. Notice most writers or whoever has a deadline, they can procrastinate and then all of a sudden they do it.
Mhm.
But you don't always have somebody like, hello, hello. So
Exactly.
instead of depending on the self control and all that, set yourself up with tiny habits. You don't have to depend on the self control,
Mhm.
because you're developing the habit of whatever it is, to stop eating at a certain time, or eat, don't overeat, or indulge, taste that beautiful chocolate. Don't overindulge. Make it
Right.
make tiny actions, a series of actions become a habit. Because again, willpower, when you have to keep going, okay, this is my motivation. Okay, I've got to do it. And then when you don't, then you beat yourself up.
And you don't
And
believe yourself. You don't believe yourself when you say it. You just
exactly,
don't.
you don't. But if
Yeah.
you do a tiny action and you did it and you
Mhm.
reward yourself, then it's like, all right, well, the
Mhm.
brain tells you I'm capable. Whatever you tell your brain goes, you're right. And it looks for more evidence to prove yourself
Mhm.
right, whether it's a bad habit or a good habit.
Mhm.
Our brains are computers. They just want to keep you in the norm, because
Right.
back in the lizard days or caveman days, our
Mhm.
brain saw change or anything different, whether it was
And
good or
didn't like
bad,
it.
as danger.
Yeah.
As danger. So to protect you, our brains
Mhm.
say no. So if it's a
Mhm.
bad habit, it'll still look for more evidence of you
Right.
can't do that or you got to do the bad thing, because it just knows that as
Mhm.
your habit.
I
So
do
there's a
have to say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
no, it's okay. That's the difference between
Mhm.
willpower, which is great, but you don't need the willpower when
Mhm.
it's something that's part of your identity. But go ahead.
While you were talking, it made me think about, so I'm not proud of this, but I am proud of part of it. I smoked when I was in the military for 12 years.
9 years I lived in Europe.
And I, you know, you don't think it's that big of a deal. And then I got bronchitis one year, and the doctor said, okay. He goes, do you smoke? I go, yeah. He goes, you're going to get bronchitis every year, and each year is going to get harder and harder to get rid of it.
Hmm.
Smoked for another year, went back to the doctor. He goes, bronchitis. And I was like, okay, I'm tired of this. So I did not know at the time that I was addicted to nicotine.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to put that out there. But when you're addicted to, whether it's food, whether it's chocolate, whether it's sweets, whether it's cigarettes, you take it away, and what happens? What's the first thing? You
Withdrawal.
can't
And you
wait,
retaliate.
and you
Yeah.
retaliate. So I had to figure out a plan that would work for me. And so I kept smoking, but I kept going lower and lower nicotine. So I got to the lowest nicotine, that you could get in a cigarette. Then I started pulling back how many cigarettes I had per day. And so I finally got down to 4 cigarettes a day. And I also had my son, and I told him, I pulled him into it. I said, I want you to ask me every time you come home from school, ask me if I smoked. He goes, you'll get mad at me. I go, I promise I won't. I didn't say you're my accountability, but I said, just ask
But he
me.
was. Yeah.
And I ran out of cigarettes, and I was going to go to the store to get more cigarettes. And I was like, no, let me see if I can do this. And so it will be 32 years in August.
Yes.
Now, here's the
Good.
thing. Every day I went without a cigarette, I congratulated myself. I did a little something for me.
Yes. Reward.
Actually, I did some retail therapy. That's it. That's what happened when when I was doing this. But it works.
Yes.
And so I went
Okay.
a
So
week and then 2 weeks. And then, at the one every year, and I will tell you this, it's been 32 years in August. Every year I buy myself something, congratulate myself that I did this because it was huge.
that's awesome. That's
Mhm.
huge. Now, I also tell people I do not work with addictions because you need a specialist.
Yes.
However, to correlate that, the nicotine, the actual chemical, what it did to your
Mhm.
brain was your reward.
Mhm.
That was your reward. That was your instant gratification. So there are two different kinds of smokers. You and I, perfect that we're in these two frames. I smoked because I lived in Paris
And that's
and
what everybody
everybody
did.
smoked. I would smoke. I would never smoke my Dunhill before noon, and I would only smoke after a meal, and it was usually outside. I never smoked in my own apartment. When I
Mhm.
moved back to the United States, and this is the silliest thing, my thing was an oral thing, and it was a social thing. And it was not like I need the nicotine. I was not addicted. I did
Mhm.
not smoke that much. When I got to about 4 cigarettes a day, I was like, "Yeah, I would cut back." But I saw guys at Pacific Beach, or I'll never forget. I was in San Diego, I'm in my late 20s, and I was like, these guys don't like girls that smoke. I never smoked again. That
Wow.
was a ridiculous why, but I was like, they
Yeah.
don't. They're hitting on girls that
Mhm.
don't smoke. Never
Mhm.
smoked again. My thing was an oral thing, and I
Yeah.
realized I do have an oral thing. But my reward was the taste and the doing with the mouth. Your
Mhm.
reward was the chemical. So same
Mhm.
thing. Whether you have an addiction, and then you should get help, and that's why
Yes.
lower, lower, lower. Your brain starts
Mhm.
going, okay, I need lower dosage and lower dosage.
Mhm.
Or if that's a reward, then you have to reward yourself another way.
Mhm.
Yours was praise and
Mhm.
accountability. If it's a habit that you're trying to undo, not an addiction, same thing. You need an instant
Mhm.
reward because people always look at the long-term vision. Yes, long-term
Mhm.
vision. Yes, that trophy, that goal, that whatever you want. But
Mhm.
that's way down the road. That's not going to get you through working out that morning
Mhm.
when you don't feel like it. A habit is
Exactly.
something that you do even no, especially when you don't feel up to it.
Mhm.
When you're at your lowest, your habit supports you. So I help people create those foundational habits that no matter
Mhm.
what will support the rest of it and be flexible. That's the other thing. I just got back from a 4-day vacation with my husband. We just went to Vegas real quick. And I normally work out in the evening after I do my coaching. I also teach senior fitness because I'm still into it. There's a shortage of good trained certified senior fitness specialists. So I go teach two
Mhm.
classes. That's why I'm dressed like this today. So I do all that. And I always like to be my last client. I like to do my whatever self care and I work
Mhm.
out, shower, get in my jammies. We watch TV together. But then when I go away, I don't want to like say, oh, well, I'm on vacation. I'm going to eat more. I'm not going to work out. It's like,
Mhm.
no, that's who I am. So I don't want to impose, let's say I'm with family or my sister or my husband. I don't want to
Mhm.
impose on their schedule or think I got to get back to the hotel tonight and work out. It's like, no,
Right.
I get up earlier than them. I do a shorter workout unless I want to prolong it. I shower. I'm good to go. I don't have to think about it the rest of the day. So you still, when you're developing a habit, it's if fill in the blank, then if this happens, then I'll do this. You have to. And I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but military have told me that military people always have plan A, plan B, plan C.
Oh, yeah,
Because
my father always told me, "You have a backup plan for your backup plan."
exactly, because mud will hit the windshield.
Yes.
It just will. So you have to be also flexible. If the boss wants something all of a sudden, if the
Mhm.
family wants something, your kid gets sick, you get a distraction, whatever it is, it's okay. I have a backup plan. If this happens, I'll do it then. That's as
Mhm.
you're developing your actions into a habit. Because again, we're aligning your habit to your identity. What type of person am I? So I worked out all 3 days that I was gone and I had a great time. I didn't
So
feel
you can have
guilt.
both. Yeah, you can have
Absolutely.
both.
It
Yeah.
becomes who you are.
Yes.
So also, I mean, that counts with exercise, but exercise is one of the hardest ones, especially for, like I said, people who think that they're so high achieving. It's like, well, the biggest achievement is to let go and start slow and start tiny. And another thing I want people to remember, there is no one set number. People say, well, I've always heard it takes 21 days to build a habit, or I hear it's 40 days to build a habit, or I hear it's 90 days. It depends. If you do it 2 or 3 times during those 90 days, huh? It's repetition, repetition,
Exactly.
repetition. As you know, it's like people that work out. If, well, I only worked out last week and then I worked out once this week. Well, that's not going to get you anywhere.
It
So
it just
it's
won't.
more of repetition. So you
Mhm.
can get a lot more done in 3 weeks if you do it every day, as far as setting it in your brain, reprogramming your brain, than you can if you set, okay, at 40 days I'll be done, but you skip a lot. It's not, there's no set number. That's a fallacy. There have been studies, but research shows with some people it could take 45 days, with some people it takes
Mhm.
180 days. It also depends on the person and the practice and the habit of it, the actual repetition.
Can we talk about overcoming obstacles? I'm sure you have clients who they have every excuse in the world. Well, this happened, that happened. Or how do you speak to people who always tend to put obstacles in their way or they don't, it's, and I'm going to speak from a veteran point of view. If there's a rock in the road, a big rock, I'm going to get out of the car and go, huh, can I get over it? Can I get around it? I'm
Mhm.
trying to figure out a way. A lot of people will be like, well, let's turn around. There's a rock in the road. Let's go the other way. So, can you talk about obstacles for a little bit?
That's part of the process. So when I said get activated, ensure activation, boost your ability, that's part of boost your ability. Okay, look at any possible barriers, blocks, mindset blocks, physical blocks, family, boss, work. Look at
Mhm.
anything and everything that could be a barrier. And excuses are real. I'm not dismissing that. That's not an
Mhm.
excuse. You're not making it up. You're not lying. It's, some people like, oh, well, yes, it can be an excuse. And then they beat themselves up for it. I have found
Mhm.
when you beat yourself up, it's usually because it's true, but you could have avoided it or you could
Avoided
have
it. Yeah.
overcome it. So
Mhm.
it's true. It's not a lie. All
Mhm.
right. So we look at any possible blocks, and that's the if then. So we plan for the blocks. There's a marathon runner, and I forgot his name. I just forgot, maybe but there was a gentleman about 20 years ago, and he kept training for the Olympics. And he would plan with his coach what could possibly go wrong. They thought of, what if I get dehydrated? What if it rains? What if my shoe tread isn't good? What if I slip on a pebble? I mean, they thought of all the possible things as he was running. He would envision and he would process that ughiness of this as if it were happening.
Mhm.
Therefore, and this was their thing, therefore, his coach said, your brain already will have gone through it. He wasn't a scientist, he was just a coach.
Mhm.
But I'm like, that was brilliant, because if and when something happens that is unforeseen, you already went through the shock. If you thought of, well, what if something bad does happen? It's not
Mhm.
so shocking if you envision it. That doesn't mean
Envision it.
catastrophize.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. It doesn't mean like I'm going to get on a plane. Okay, let me imagine it crashing. No, it doesn't
No,
mean that.
no, don't do that.
It's preparing.
It's being prepared, but not.
Just like if you're heading on a road trip, do I
Mhm.
have my AAA card? What happens if I
Mhm.
see a boulder in the road? Do we have a backup
Mhm.
plan? So you prepare without catastrophizing, and you
Mhm.
kind of experience the shock anyway. Sort of like buying life insurance.
Mhm.
It's not good to think about death, but you kind of prepare knowing
Prepare for
he
it.
might
Yeah.
die tomorrow, you
Yeah.
know? So with the barriers and the boulders and all that, you have to see what possible barriers are there. Now let's take it back to exercising and eating. Let's
Mhm.
say, for example, you take away anything that could be friction. For example, you take away anything that could stop you from going to work out, and you also put up anything that will help you. Those are the activators. But you take away anything. I don't know what would keep you from working out other than the weather, and then you have a backup plan. But in eating, that's the best one, because you don't buy the bad snacks. You don't buy the crap food.
Mhm.
And people always say, "Yeah, but I've got kids in the house." It's like, all right, that's your deal with them. That's for them, not for you.
For you.
And you can put it up in a high place or in a away place where people have to sign in for them. That's where you have to get everybody on board and surround yourself with a team. But you can also put The fruit, I grew up with fruit, bowls of
Yeah, I
fruit
did
on the
too.
dining room table. I
Yes.
grew up with it on the counter. So you see that eye level when you open the fridge or in the cupboard. So you have your activators there and you take away anything that is tempting. You just do. You're not going to keep cigarettes in the house if you want to stop smoking. You have your patches
Mhm.
instead. So back to your question, the barriers, yes, there's a different than excuses. Barriers do come up and cravings and temptations do come up. And that's where you work out a plan, your backup plan. Like in eating, people have the 80-20. That's Ikigai. 80% good, clean, whatever your goal is,
Right.
20% not that clean. And it's okay if that's your
Mhm.
habit and you like don't want more than 20%.
Well, I think some people think that to get healthy, they can never have whatever it is. Like my go-to is ice cream. I
I
love
love
ice
ice
cream.
cream. Yeah.
But if you told me to get healthy that I could never have ice cream again, I'd be like, I don't know. I got to think about this. I mean, seriously. So, we've gotten to a point where, you know, we have a pint of ice cream and we have it twice a month and I might eat a little bit of it and put it back in the fridge. So I used to eat the whole pint or half
Ah,
pint or whatever it is.
yeah.
But now I've gotten better at it. And so I think that, I love the 80-20 because it's giving you permission that
Again,
if you
it's a
do the
habit.
80%, yes.
Like I went to dinner the other night and we only ordered one dessert. He wanted this chocolate thing we had never heard of. It was like a soft Play-Doh uh, fudge. It was a soft
Mhm.
fudge.
Ooh.
It was divine. It was really heavy. I'm glad we didn't order two. And I
Mhm.
had about 2 teaspoons. I was not restricting myself. It is not
Mhm.
about restriction.
Right.
I'm in the habit of eating a certain amount. It's a
Mhm.
habit. If I want more, I can. But I was like, oh my God, that was so good. And I had my little decaf and I just left the rest for my husband. I didn't want any more. I had
Mhm.
the penny pasta with the lobster and the olive. I
Ooh,
eat
that sounds
butter,
good.
but I
Oh,
didn't want the whole plate. I'm like take home queen. Of course, we were out
yes.
of town, so I couldn't box it up. But my husband thinks I'm the cheapest date because I can go out to dinner and have enough leftovers for 2 weeks. I freeze it up in my little Tupperwares. Why? Because it's a habit. I used to eat ice cream every night, like 6 nights a week. Then I
Mhm.
got in this habit of putting a scoop of protein, 20 grams of protein, mix it up with my ice cream. So it would take up more
Mhm.
volume.
Yeah.
And then the pandemic hit, and our particular supermarket ran out of my favorite dryers. It was 110 calories. I'm like, I went for months without that ice cream because I didn't want the other ones. Your taste buds are used to something.
Change.
You
Yes.
can retrain them. You
Yes.
really can. Now I don't crave it. I used to eat it 6 nights a week. And
Mhm.
then when I started eating it again, I'm like, I don't want this every night. I love it.
Mhm.
And if I want a little ball, fine. I'm
Mhm.
still in the habit of mixing it with my protein. I have some fruit with it. I accompany it with
Mhm.
with things. So my point is, you can retrain yourself, not restrict
Mhm.
yourself. Retrain yourself, not restrict yourself.
But I think that's a good idea. That's for people who say, "Oh, well, I just love dessert." Don't get his and her desserts. Get one dessert and share it. That's a great way to start that habit of pulling back so it doesn't have to be hard when you do this. Ronnie, I want to talk about how habits can become overwhelming for people. In what way can habits become overwhelming, especially when they're trying to get new habits to
Okay.
be healthier or whatever that thing is for them?
See, that's just it. I get what you're saying. Everybody thinks the same thing. Once it's a habit, it's not overwhelming. So it's semantics. I know, but it's thinking about, I want to make this a habit. That's
Mhm.
overwhelming. And again, that's your habitual way of thinking. Now we're getting all woo woo, but it's psychology. You are in the habit of labeling things. You are in the habit of acting a certain way. You are in the habit of acting, reacting to a certain situation in a different way. You're in the habit of reacting to different people in different ways. You're in the habit of expressing yourself in a certain way. You're in the habit of communicating as separate. So what I'm talking about is your habitual way of thinking,
Mhm.
otherwise known as mindset. It's your default thinking.
Mhm.
So let's take it back. Well, what's overwhelming about it? The fact that you think what? And then we get down to it. It's not therapy. It doesn't take years. It takes
Mhm.
literally 5 minutes. Well, why are you saying that's overwhelming? Overwhelm literally means you're taken over like a wave.
Well, I
Okay, well,
think we make it bigger. than it
Yes, in our
is. We start in
minds.
our minds, exactly, and it becomes this big old hairy monster when in
Yeah.
reality it's not that at all.
That's why we break it down to actions. And if you accomplish that action every day, you can progress and progress, and it evolves and becomes a habit. Paciencia, niña. My dad used to say that. Paciencia. Patience, patience, child.
Mhm.
Don't try to take on too much. Tiny steps get you there faster. Tiny steps get you there faster
Yes.
because you accomplish it. It gets
Mhm.
ingrained, it solidifies, it gels, however you want to put it. So when you get overwhelmed, say it. Okay, why does this feel overwhelmed? Why am I labeling this as overwhelming? What part can I or can I not do? And failure is not missing it one day, or I just didn't get to it, or I didn't do it.
Mhm.
Things happen. One day, it's not a failure. Things happen. Second day, that's your choice.
Mhm.
Third day, okay, something's wrong. So we tweak. Also, the way you deal with it not becoming overwhelming is you track it. That's another
Mhm.
reason for celebrating. I call it celebrative accountability.
Mhm.
Celebrate it because when you're accountable, you're not only celebrating to give yourself that instant reward, but you're also holding yourself accountable,
Mhm.
responsible, account like an accountant. That's it. That's all it is. When people hear accountability at first, they think, oh my God, I'm responsible. I have to check in. And then they hide and
Right.
they ghost and
Yeah.
everything's like, oh, hell. It's just an accounting because you're
Mhm.
tracking it. So you enter it. And I get my clients to enter it in a experimental mindset. We're
Mhm.
scientists, put on your lab coat. We're just tracking data. If
Tracking
something's not
data.
working, why
Mhm.
not? More often than not, is it working or not working? And then we
And
see
if
and
it's
we
not
change,
working,
we
why?
tweak.
And you tweak it. Exactly.
Okay,
Yes.
that didn't work. Let's
Mhm.
try this. Okay, 5 minutes, two
Mhm.
minutes, 10 minutes. And I had this one girl again. I call her girl. Another mom of four, and she works. She started with 1 minute of self-care, whatever that means to whoever. For her, she
Mhm.
didn't want to journal. So many people are told journaling is great for you, but they just don't want to do it because whatever
Mhm.
reasons. Like, well, I say the same thing every day. Fine, let's not journal. What will work for you? Her thing was literally just getting up and listening to something nice, a motivational thing as she's getting up,
Mhm.
brushing her teeth, all that. And then 5 minutes of some kind of calisthenics or stretch. She
Mhm.
started, I was really surprised. She started going on YouTube videos and working out 7 to 10 minutes. And she would celebrate that. And it's like, okay, yay for your 1 minute. And then she asked me, well, why not the 7 minutes? I'm like, that's fabulous. That's extra. Remember,
Mhm.
it's extra. As it's building, as long as you do that, what you set your contract to
Mhm.
do, your experiment was only 1 minute of this and 5 minutes of that. You
Mhm.
did that,
And
that's
now look
gold.
at you. Now
If
you're
you do
doing
more,
7.
great. That's extra.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
because she
think
was getting
it's
curious. And that
yeah.
was from somebody who didn't work out at all.
Yeah. I think it's interesting when you said to slow down because my business coach always says slow down to speed up. Like people want to go really, really
Mm,
fast and then they miss, it's like traveling in a car and you have all the scenery on either side of you and you don't see any of it. I'm the kid that was always looking out the windows like, "Ooh, what's over here? What's over here?" But when you
yeah.
slow down, all of a sudden you start to think, "Wow, what are you thinking? How are you feeling after your 1 minute, 10 minutes,
Mm,
whatever?" Are you
exactly.
patting yourself on the back? Say, "Yay me."
Exactly.
Because if not, you should. So let's go into celebrating your progress. So how do you
Mhm.
tell your clients to celebrate their progress? What kind of things do they do? What kind of do you have any examples of celebrating your progress?
Well, here's the thing, and you keep repeating what do you tell your clients? And I love it because I get it. I understand you're a
Mhm.
businesswoman. Coaches don't tell. And I just want people to know that. We get I'm going to sound Yoda. The answer is in you. I ask the right questions. I listen. I listen. I listen
Mhm.
for cues. I listen for what's interesting, and I turn it back to them. Will this work? Will that work? What do you think of this? I get them to really be honest with themselves. When I was a personal trainer, and I never did answer your question in the very beginning, how I evolved into this, but I was a personal trainer until COVID hit. And then everything studio shut down because I would train at private studios and I would go to
Mhm.
people's homes. And I didn't want to go on Zoom because I was not an Instagram selfie kind of girl, but here we
Mhm.
go. Open the laptop. Let's do it. And that's when people started, I'm going to get back to you on the celebrating. But
Mhm.
people started asking me, my boss isn't working out and my sister or whatever, it's like, well, do you want me to talk to them? So I would talk to them. And I wasn't the kind of, boot camp, just do it, blah, blah, blah. It's like I would talk to them
Mhm.
and we would find, well, try this, try that, just do this and set up yourself your little yoga space in this one corner. A lot of women, powerful women, they felt kind of, what do you call it? Self-conscious to work out at home if the kids ran through or their partner was there.
Mhm.
So we would find how can you work out? When can you work out? Find time for yourself because exercise just fell off their Google calendar. They were trying
Yes.
to either be the boss and be indispensable, or they were a team member and working for somebody and they wanted to be indispensable because there were a lot of layoffs. So that's how I became a life coach in 2021 because people were like, you really coach me well. And somebody said, Ronnie, you should be a life coach. And I was like, what's a life coach for, like Real Housewives? And so I looked it up and I got serious and I saw like there were like 32 niches when I looked at my first list of coaches: menopause coach, mindset coach, relationship coach,
Mhm.
divorce coach. There were so many. I'm like, okay, I'm the type of person
Mhm.
when I want to understand something, I want to take it seriously. So I got certified and I'm still going up in the levels. Now I'm a master.
Mhm.
But in the past year, I've noticed the common thread, maybe it's from my personal training days, that the common thread through it all were habits. How do we make this easy? So I started
Right.
reading about it. I had already been habit chaining for years. Now it's called habit stacking. Before then, it was
Mhm.
Pavlovian. There were since the 1800s, chaining and linking something to linking a new
Yeah.
action to something you
Mhm.
already do, or habit
Mhm.
stacking, whatever you want to
Yes.
call it. That is old. It's just new iterations of it.
Mhm.
So I decided to start reading more about it. And it's like, oh my God, there are habit
Mhm.
coaches. And now the demand is really out there. Coaching, not therapy. I mean, you get a golf
Mhm.
coach if you want, a golf pro gets a golf coach, a baseball player, a pitcher gets a pitching coach. So it's
Mhm.
more niched. It really
Yes.
is. So that's how I evolved from a personal trainer to a life
Mhm.
coach to a master
Mhm.
life coach. Now I'm a certified habit coach. But back to celebrating, I don't tell them what to do. I could give them suggestions if they're really stuck. Like, well, what do you think? And I'll give them
Mhm.
other examples of whatever. But it's like, what makes you feel good in the instant? you
Mhm.
know and then they find what will make them feel good.
Mhm.
Sometimes they have to like engage somebody else, like they ask their husband, celebrate me or yay me, and then their partners get into it
Mhm.
like, yay.
Yeah, be
Good for
your
you.
biggest cheerleader. Be your
but
own cheerleader.
but
I think that's important.
but don't exercise and think, well, my reward will be that ice cream. No, 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 no.
Right.
So, of
Exactly.
course, we go through what will support you and celebrate you. And
Mhm.
some people have, and routines are different than habits. That's really important because you've read, all our lives, we've read in Cosmo magazine, now online. It's like,
Mhm.
once you lose those 10 pounds, reward yourself. Or if you've worked out all week, go
Mhm.
shopping or whatever, a little spa day.
Mhm.
That's great. But those are routines. Habits support routines. Let's say you have a workout routine. I'm sorry, I'm playing with a piece of paper. I'll drop it. If you wonder what the heck that was, a routine could be like, okay, you work out 3 times a week and you do cardio twice a week, whatever that is. But that is not a habit because you can change up that routine. Like, today I feel like doing Zumba. Tomorrow I feel like jogging. The next day I feel like going on a cardio machine. The habit is
The
usually
working
about the
out.
same time, same
Mhm.
place, and you can be flexible with that. The habit is the actual working out, like what you
Yes.
just said. The routine is different because that's flexible. Habits
Mhm.
support your routines and then you can be
Mhm.
flexible with them. Routines are not habits. Routines are made up of a series of habits. And again,
Mhm.
when you align your habits to your identity, that's how
Mhm.
they stick. It's
Mhm.
who am I? What do I want to do today? I don't
Mhm.
care if the whole day has gone by. I'm going to do 10 minutes of whatever at night because you didn't let it go by.
Mhm.
And it's not an obsession. It's not
No.
overworking or overtraining. It's not that. It's like, no, I'm going to do this and you're good with it. So
Mhm.
we come up with how you want to reward yourself. It could be, I have this one girl, again, call her girl. She's in her 30s. She just had a baby. She wants to start decluttering. But when she's read the book, she's listened to the decluttering podcast and the place is a mess. I'm like, you just had a baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Hello.
sorry. Yeah, and she has 2 cats and a husband, and okay, so we started with her 5 minutes of decluttering, and it doesn't matter what, it could be that. And also we started getting to a one action when she takes off her clothes, she was in the habit of just dropping it on the floor, and then she would get overwhelmed. So we started on her, take off that piece of clothing, smell it, either put it on the hamper or hang it up or fold it. So, oh my God, she's in her 30s, that's 30 years of conditioning.
Mhm.
So how are you going to celebrate it? She put up this little thing like for kids, like a Hello Kitty kind of thing, where you
Mm-hmm.
put a sticker on every day. So she has 2 stickers a day. She's really into that, makes her feel good.
Feel
She came
good.
up with it.
Yeah.
She loves it, and she's like, "Look," and she
Mm-hmm.
takes pictures with her phone. She's like, "Look at my calendar." She likes those stickers. She's a grown-up woman.
Yeah.
And now she's back at work, but she loves the feeling of putting those stickers because it's visible to
It's
her. She
visible.
sees the
Yeah.
stickers. Now, you might think, yeah, but then you feel guilty if you don't put that damn sticker on. It's like, no,
Mm-hmm.
you're just tracking. Again, going into
Mm-hmm.
the mindset, and that's where the coaching comes in, and we do
Right.
talk about it. But whatever makes you feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you have to be reasonable. Like, you're not going to take a drink at the end of the night to make yourself feel good. It's like,
Right.
what is your goal? Does that align with
Yeah.
your goal? Is that what you value? You want a glass of wine? Awesome. Is that within your calorie count? Is that within
Yeah.
your nutrition plan? Does that align? Is that what you
Mm-hmm.
value? Okay, so we look and see what will make you feel good and what is rewarding to you. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people love celebrating in groups. That's why people join challenges. A lot of people love support groups on Facebook. Hey, I'm doing this, and they share. Whatever works for you, that's the
Mm-hmm.
reward, but it has to be instant. So even if,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the hardest one, guys think it's silly when I bring it up, but they do it. They're game. Women, I'm telling you from my experience and from what I know, when I
Mm-hmm.
tell women, how about you look yourself in the eyeballs in the mirror as soon as you finish your workout and you praise yourself? They don't want to, Kat. Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, that's silly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, eh.
Can I
And they're
just
afraid
tell you something real
they're
quick?
afraid other people will see them or
Yeah.
hear them if they're at the gym. Yes.
Who cares? I have to tell you this real quick. So, couple years ago, this was during COVID. I went into a clubhouse room, and I would hear people talk, and I kept going in there. And one day, I was feeling myself. I don't know. I was feeling good, right? And I
I
come
think
up
most
on
people know what
stage.
I think most people know what you mean by Clubhouse, but just in
Yes.
case, the
And
platform, the social
yeah, the
media.
platform, yes. And so I came up on stage, I said my little piece, and then I said, you know what? This is the freaking fabulous Cat Corchado signing off, right? I was feeling good that day. So, and picture another day, I came onto the Clubhouse platform again, came up and said something, said my piece. And there was one woman who is now my business coach. She goes, Kat, I think you forgot to say something. And I'm like, no. She goes, yeah, you. She made me say, I am the freaking fabulous Cat Cortado every time I was in there. Here's the part that's amazing. I started saying it. I started believing it. So saying I'm the freaking fabulous Cat Corchado isn't about, hey, here I am. Look at me. That's for me. So when I
Plus, you
finish,
said it.
yes. And so when I finish my
Yeah.
workout, I'm like, I'm freaking fabulous. Yes, I am.
Because when you first said it, it actually came out naturally. That's how you felt. So
Yes.
your chemicals in your brain remember
Mhm.
that. They recall that because when you
Mhm.
first said it, that's how you felt.
Exactly.
So it was
So before
real.
yes, before we go, let's talk about setbacks.
Uh-huh.
What is it that I don't want to say tell your clients, but what kind
No,
of
it's okay.
suggestions do you have,
I just don't want people
for
to think that
people
I
who
tell you what to
have,
do because I don't. Yeah.
that deal, when I have clients who say, oh, I didn't work out this week, I'd be like, that's okay. You have another week coming up. What are you going to do? How are you going to make it? How are you going to change it? So,
Usually it doesn't happen once they're already coaching with me because we
mhm,
decide in the beginning how much they're
mhm,
going to do that's doable
mhm,
when,
mhm,
the very least, the least
mhm,
common denominator, when they don't feel like it, when you're
mhm,
tired, when you're sleepy, when you're busy. So we usually
mhm,
pick something so small that it's still
mhm,
doable. Now, so usually a whole week doesn't go by unless they're
mhm,
traveling or something like that happens or they get
mhm,
sick. But setbacks,
mhm,
that's the mindset part. And that's the thought work part we go through. I call it thought work. So when you feel something, or no, your behavior or your action or your reaction, your behavior, you didn't work out. What were you doing when you didn't work out? That's your behavior, whatever it was. Did you feel down? Were you just overwhelmed? What was the reason? Then we go, how'd you feel? What was your
mhm,
emotion? Were you angry? Were you in despair? Were you
mhm,
sad? Were you depressed? Were you
mhm,
joyful? Because they're the 5 basic emotions, and then sub emotions come out of there. Were you
mhm,
joyful, angry, sad, despair, doubt? I'm sorry, fear and doubt come together. So they have to really look at the main one. It's like, well, I was fearful of this, or I doubted myself. And well, why'd you doubt yourself? So you look at what you were feeling at that moment that you just didn't go. Were you angry about something? Are you rebelling? So then you get that emotion at that moment when you don't feel like doing it. And then you ask yourself, whatever that emotion was, why? What thought?
Mhm.
Every emotion, no matter what, had a subliminal fast thought. Even if it
Yes.
was lightning speed, there was a thought that went through your brain that made you feel
Mhm.
that way. So, what was that thought? What was I thinking? What am I thinking? And then you ask yourself, is that 100% true? Is it fact?
Mhm.
Usually it's not absolute fact. And then you can tell yourself something that's true, not Pollyanna positivity affirmations, click your
Right.
heels, but a true fact, and that will neutralize that. You don't have to
Mhm.
turn it 180 to make you feel great. I'm going to do it. No, I
Mhm.
mean, you can, but just give yourself a fact that will neutralize it, that changes your emotion. If you learn to do that thought work really fast, it's like, is that a fact? Even if you're still a little rebellious, like it usually calms you down and you
Mhm.
do a little, or you decide. That's when the conscious comes in. Okay, I'm just not going to do it today,
Right.
but this is why. And I know this is why. And they usually end up doing it.
Mhm.
But because when you calm down, it's like you usually end up doing it and you don't get set back the next day. And you
Right.
usually share it. And some people feel guilty and whatever at first. And I talk them through it on Boxer that night. But they usually don't have that much of a slide back because you have
Mhm.
that thought work in your back pocket. And that's also why you have an accountability coach or partner or friend. That's
Mhm.
also why you share it with people. You can't do it alone. You're not an island. Get
Mhm.
help. Get help. That's what helps you. So when setbacks happen, they happen. And
Mhm.
if it's out of your control, like you got sick, you got the flu, whatever it
It
is,
happens.
it's
Life
out of your
happens.
control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing
You
you
didn't
can do about
fail.
it.
That was out
Mhm.
of your control. What is your control? Did you do it?
Mhm.
Did you do it? Even as that one tiny act. So that's how we deal with
Mhm.
setbacks.
Ronnie, this has been a fascinating conversation.
Yeah.
Where can people find you if they need your
I love
expertise?
I love talking to people. So yeah, let's connect. I used to I used to be like all worried that people would think I want to sell them something right on our first consultation.
Mhm.
No, no, no. You have to find the right coach for you. If you're
Yes.
ready to change your life and create something, change something, or
Mhm.
level up in some way, or you know you want that help, let's find out if I'm the
Mhm.
person for you. Let's find out
Right.
if you're the person for me. And we'll talk. And if nothing else, we make a good connection. We're
Mhm.
Facebook friends, whatever it is. So, yeah, hop on and let's take it to
Mhm.
uniquely what it is you want to work on. So, you can find me on social media. I'm Ronnie Lowe Life Coach everywhere, Ronnie Lowe Life Coach, on Instagram, on Threads, all of that. LinkedIn, I love LinkedIn. That's where I found you. So, I'm Ronnie Lowe Life Coach on LinkedIn. And my website, I'm sure you'll have it in your show notes, are
Mhm.
www, that's so old school, RonnieLoweLifeCoach.com. Ronnie,
Mhm.
L-O, lifecoach.com. And I would love to talk to you. And maybe you have a friend or sister or whatever who would, you think, oh, maybe you should talk to Ronnie. I love getting on the phone or on Zoom and talking to people.
I think it's interesting to reiterate that, regardless of, whether you're a coach or in fitness or whatever, that, I'm not everyone's flavor. And that's
Mm,
okay. But if you are my flavor, let's
yeah.
talk. There's nothing wrong with having a conversation. So, Ronnie, thank you so much for,
Thank you,
you
Kat.
know, talking about all of this, how we can make habits